Okay, let's get us started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Toronto Arts Council information session for the Theatre Projects Grant Program. My name is Elahe Marjovi, and I'm the Theatre Program Manager. My pronouns are she and her. I'm looking forward to spending the next hour with you and answering all your questions. Just to let you know, this session is being recorded and you can listen again on our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A section or in the chat, and I will answer them at the end. The presentation is also being interpreted and captions are available by clicking the CC button on your screen. I will start with a land acknowledgement. Toronto Arts Council respectfully acknowledges the diversity of Indigenous cultures and their connection to the natural world we are privileged to share. We honor the Wendat, the Anishinaabeg peoples, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and others who have walked this land or paddled these waters. We are grateful to the ancestors and elders of their peoples and to their descendants who live and work with us on the back of the great turtle. Thank you. This is our agenda for today, and now let's launch right in. Okay. So I would like to start with eligibility. First, this program isn't open to individual artists. Only collectives or organizations can apply. Your project must take place in Toronto, and it's important to note that each organization can receive only one grant per calendar year through our discipline programs, including theater. There are 4 categories in the program. When thinking about your application, just take a moment to consider which category truly reflects the scope and the stage of your project. The first category is full production. Grants of up to $20,000 are available. This is ideal if you are mounting a complete theater production. Second is production in a festival. This category offers up to $10,000. To apply, you will need a letter confirming your participation. Third is workshop category. If your project is in the development phase, you can apply for up to $15,000 to support it. And the last category is a special initiatives, which is intended for projects that basically don't fit into other categories. This also provides support for up to $15,000. Examples could include conferences, play reading series, or a theater festival. Now let's look at the timeline. There are 2 application deadlines each year, March 2nd and August 4th. For the August deadline, applications will open in May. And the March deadline applications are open now. They've been open since December. So you will have a couple of months to prepare. For the March round, successful applicants will be notified at the beginning of June, and projects are expected to start soon after that. For the August round, results will be announced in November. Once your application is approved, you have up to 2 years to complete your project. And finally, if your March application isn't successful, don't be discouraged. I strongly encourage you to reapply for the August deadline. For many organizations, just tweaking their project and resubmitting, it really makes a difference. So consider reapplying if you were unsuccessful. Now let's look at the application. The first part of the application is your project description, which has 3 sections. In overview, you will think of the overview as your project's introduction. You'll be answering the 5 W's: what, why, who, when, and where. To answer what, start by defining what kind of project you are creating. Is it a full production, a workshop, a special initiative? Give a clear synopsis so that the panel can quickly understand it. Why? Why does this project matter? Why now? This is your chance to explain the urgency or relevance. Maybe it's a story that needs to be told today, or an idea that pushes your artistic practice in a new direction. Who? Who is making this project happen? Mention key artists, collaborators, or partners. This helps the panel see that you have the team to make it successful. When and where? Let the panel know your timeline and location. For example, if it's happening at a festival, include the dates and the venue. Panel needs to know your project is realistic and well planned. A simple way to think about this is imagine you're explaining your project to someone who have never heard of it. By the end of your overview, they should have a clear picture of your idea, your team, and your plan. The second part of the project description is about artistic goals. This is about the impact of the project on you and your organization or your collective of artists. Talk about the expected outcomes. What do you hope to achieve? Maybe it's developing a new work, exploring a new artistic form, or deepening your practice. Talk about growth. How will this project help you grow as an artist or an organization? Think about the skills you will develop, collaborations you will form, or ways that project pushes your artistic vision forward. Be specific here. Instead of saying, we want to create a great show, explain what makes it a great show and how it advances your artistic journey. Panels wants to see ambition and as well as thoughtfulness. The last part of the project description is about outreach. Who will experience your work and how will you reach them? Who is your project for? Are you engaging general theater audiences, a specific community, or a niche group? How will people find out about your project? This could be through social media, community partnerships, newsletters, word of mouth, or actually all of the above. And lastly, what effect will your project have on your audience? Will it spark conversation, provide learning opportunities, or create a memorable experience? If you have partners helping with outreach or creative ways to promote the project, be sure to mention them. Show that your project isn't just about making art. It's about connecting with people and making an impact. Now let's move on to the budget, which is the second part of the application. I know working with numbers isn't the most exciting part, but without it, the project is doomed. Your project helps the panel understand that your project will actually happen. Your budget has 2 main parts, revenue and expenses. Let's begin with revenue. Revenue is divided into 3 main categories. The first is earned revenue. This is income you expect to generate directly from the project, like ticket sales, workshop fees, or merchandise. Second is private sector revenue. This includes donations, sponsorships, foundation grants, and in-kind support. In-kind support refers to non-cash contributions, such as donated rehearsal space, loaned equipment, or staff time, all provided at no cost. Just remember that any in-kind support needs to be matched by the exact same amount on the expense side, so the budget is balanced. And the third is for government revenue. This includes public funding like your TAC request or support from the Ontario Arts Council and the Canada Council. Even if those applications are still pending, you need to include them. Now let's talk about the expenses. Start from your expenses when you are building your budget. Begin by reviewing your project needs. This might include artist fees, venue rental, equipment, marketing and promotion, or admin costs like a producer or project coordinator. A good rule of thumb is if it's something you need to pay for, it belongs in your expenses. For example, a workshop might not have any ticket revenue, and a co-production might receive an in-kind venue contribution instead of paying a rental fee. The goal isn't to fill every line, but to make sure the budget accurately tells the story of how your project works. Along with your budget, you will also be asked to submit a budget breakdown. This is what shows the panel how you arrived at your numbers. Here you explain your calculations, things like hourly or daily rates, the number of weeks or days, or whether something is a flat fee. Your budget, timeline, and work plan should all be telling the same story. For example, if your project runs for 2 weeks, your venue should reflect 2 weeks. Try not to include expenses in your budget that don't appear in your work plan. And the same goes the other way around. Clear, realistic budgets help the panel see that you understand your project inside out and that your proposal is viable. The final section of the application is for support material, and this is required for all projects. Support material help the assessment panel understand your project beyond the written application. The specific materials you include will depend on the nature of your project. For script-based projects, include a sample of the script. You may also submit documentation from earlier stages of your project, such as recordings, photos, or other relevant materials. For musicals, audio and visual materials are especially important as they help the panel better understand the music, performance style, and overall artistic vision. You may include samples of previous works if they can help the panel understand the scope of your work and your vision. And more broadly, this is the space to include anything meaningful that supports your application, materials that help the panel understand your work, your ideas, and your artistic approach. Strong and relevant support materials provide context and bring your proposal to life. In other words, support materials can make or break your application. So now let's talk about the support available for accessibility. There are two types of accessibility support. The first is applicant access support. If you are deaf or have a disability and need support preparing your application, you can access up to $500 per calendar year to cover assistant costs. If you think you may need this, please contact me a few weeks before the deadline, ideally when you begin working on your application. The second is the accessibility grant. This grant provides up to $5,000 per project for accessibility costs related to artists and contributors. This is a separate application and doesn't need to be submitted at the same time as your main application. You can apply for this at any point during the life of your project, including after you receive your results. Okay, let's look what happens after you submit your application. Once applications are in, they're reviewed by an independent panel of peer assessors from the theater community. These are your peers, your colleagues, or your friends, artists, producers, and art workers. I don't make decisions on applications. My role is to assemble the panel and to facilitate the adjudication process, making sure everything runs fairly and smoothly. Applications are then assessed and scored using several criteria. These typically include artistic merit, the viability of the project, its impact on the Toronto theatre community, and its potential public impact. Please remember, panel decisions are final. That says, it is also important to remember that panels change every round and perspectives change. An unsuccessful application doesn't mean your project isn't strong. It just means it wasn't the right fit for that particular panel. Keep in mind, this is a competitive process, and your project's success also depends on what other applications are in the round. And sometimes even excellent projects can't be funded because there isn't enough money to support everything. I strongly encourage you to reapply if you are unsuccessful. I also encourage you to reach out for feedback once results are announced, even if your application is successful. Getting a second perspective can be very helpful as you continue developing your project or start preparing a future application. Okay. This slide shows a snapshot of common feedback shared by panels across different rounds. Questions such as, what's the urgency of the story? This budget is very unrealistic and it's not viable. Application felt broad. It didn't have a specificity. It didn't have details. The support materials were poor, or the artist fees were low. Budget didn't align with the timeline. The script needs work, and it wasn't ready for production. Is the box office projections even feasible? And who is the show for? Who are the audiences? Okay, and that brings us to the end of the presentation.